Jackson's adaptations, though different from Tolkien's originals, remain great films, and I think most of us can agree on that. We had so many memes from The Lord of the Rings that I can't even count them all. But there is one in particular that I would like to talk about today. Where was Gondor when the Westfold fell? Theoden's words became a meme, but the truth is, they don't make much sense. And let me explain why. Theoden's outburst sounds like a serious accusation that Gondor had failed to honor its ancient alliance. But before we judge, we should first establish where the Westfold was and when Rohan lost it. In 3019 of the Third Age, during the War of the Ring, the Dunlendings invaded Rohan from the west, while at the same time Saruman unleashed his orcs from Isengard. Theodred, son of Theoden, made Helm's Deep his stronghold, from which he could command Rohan's western defenses. The Rohirrim expected an attack from Isengard, but it came far sooner than they anticipated. On February 25th, the first battle of the Fords of Isen began. It was brutal. Despite heavy losses, the Rohirrim held their ground, and Saruman's forces withdrew. Yet the orcs achieved their true goal. Theodred was slain. Isengard's troops attacked the forts again on March 2nd, the very day Gandalf arrived in Edoras and freed King Theoden from the poisonous influence of Wormtongue. Upon learning of the fighting, the king immediately rode out with his best riders to assist, but by the time he reached the forts, there was no one left to save. The defenders of the forts had been overwhelmed by Saruman's might. Erkenbrand, retreating towards Helm's Deep, sent a rider named Ceorl south to warn Eomer of the disaster. Ceorl instead encountered the royal host and delivered the grim news to Theoden, who decided to retreat to Helm's Deep himself. Gondor was defending its own borders along the Anduin and simply could not spare any forces. Moreover, no messenger ever informed Gondor of Rohan's plight. Since 2951, when Sauron openly returned to Mordor, Gondor had been forced to guard the river crossing day and night. Its soldiers fought and died to hold the eastern line, protecting not just Gondor, but all the free people living to the west. For centuries, Gondor had also battled the Easterlings and other enemies. The Gondor we see during the War of the Ring is but a shadow of the mighty kingdom it once was. As for the Westfold campaign, we have no precise record of Gondor's troop movements between February 25th and March 2nd. The only note from this period concerns Faramir's march into Ithilien on March 1st. Gondor knew that Sauron's armies were massing, and in addition to defending the river crossings, its soldiers launched ambushes on enemy forces whenever and wherever possible. Such skirmishes were likely frequent, even if not all were recorded by Tolkien. Then on March 10th, barely a week after the Battle of Fords of Isen, two major offensives began. The first one was a massive host marched from Minas Morgul towards Minas Tirith, and the second one, a smaller force of about 6,000 orcs, moved from the Black Gate toward Caer Andros. Gondor's garrisons at Osgiliath and Caer Andros suffered devastating losses. Without their sacrifice, the White City might have fallen long before the events we see in the films. It's worth noting that Theoden's line, "Where was Gondor when the Westfold fell?" appears only in the films. In Tolkien's books, there is no trace of any resentment from Rohan toward Gondor. By the time Theoden is freed from Saruman's influence, the battles at the Fords of Isen are already in progress. Without messengers or alliances renewed, Gondor could not possibly have known what was happening in Rohan, and thus no aid could have come.